Good evening and welcome to the Westfield, Washington Township Advisory Planning Commission meeting for Monday, July 7th, 2025. We're going live at 7 p.m. Staff, if you could please ascertain the presence of a quorum.
Mr. Bunkefist?
Present.
Mr. Horke?
Here.
Mr. Kahn?
Here.
Dr. Keene?
Here.
Ms. Carlson? Mr. McCarty?
Here.
Here.
Mr. Mooney?
Here.
Mr. Neal?
Here.
And Mr. Woodard. We have a quorum.
Full house tonight. Excellent. Next item is to announce any changes to the agenda. While we don't have any changes of the items specifically, we are going to change the order of the public hearings and let the police headquarters 2507-PUD-15 go first, just because I think it's going to be a shorter item this evening and allow them to get off and continue to do the good work for the city. So that's the only item I have to change, but no items are coming off of the agenda. Next item is the approval of the previous meeting minutes, June 16, 2025. Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Mr. McCarty.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mooney. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Next item is for staff to review the rules of procedure. Weston Rogers.
Yep, so this evening we do have items of business and we also have public hearing items. So items of business, the department will summarize the petition and highlight any changes or modifications since the item was last before the Planning Commission. The department will also describe what action, if any, is necessary to be taken. The petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present any changes, and then the commission will act upon the item. For public hearing items, the items requiring a public hearing this evening, tonight's meeting will have the following structure. The department will summarize the petition, and the petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present their proposal to the Planning Commission. The president will then open a public hearing. Individuals will be given 3 minutes to speak. Those representing a group will be given 5 minutes to speak. Only one member of the group will be given 5 minutes to speak. For efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. The public hearing will be closed when all interested members of the audience have had a chance to be heard and all emails received during the meeting have been provided to the Planning Commission members. The petitioner will then be given 10 minutes to respond to comments without interruption. The commission will follow with any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the petition. This may include additional discussion with the petitioner. And I also wanted to cover a few general rules of conduct for this evening. Please do not disrupt the proceedings in any way. If you need to have a private discussion, then we ask that you please quietly exit the room. Please silence your devices at this time. If you must answer them, then please quietly exit the room. If you are attending in person and wish to speak in regard to a petition scheduled for a public hearing, then please line up along the west wall once the public hearing is opened. Please also sign into the speaker sheet as you approach the podium to speak. For efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. During your comments, we ask that you please state your name and address into the microphone for the record. We also ask that you do not repeat previously stated comments. Your presentation will be timed, and you will be advised when there's approximately 30 seconds remaining. If you are not attending in person and you would like to submit comments, you're welcome to do so by submitting an email to planners@westfield.in.gov with the petition name and number included in the subject line. Those comments will then be forwarded to the Planning Commission members and the petitioner. We would like to remind everyone to please speak directly into the microphone so your comments can be put on to the record. Please also mute your microphone when not speaking. If you come to the podium to speak, please ensure that the microphone is on as indicated by the green light at the base. And as a reminder, there is a clock here up front with the time remaining for your comments, so please keep track of that, and we'll politely remind you when you have 30 seconds left to wrap up your comments. With that, that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next portion of our agenda is the consent agenda. We have two items, 2502-DDP-06, which is Midtown at Westfield Southeast, and then 2506 DDP-17 North Point Commerce Park Lot 1. We'll turn this over to staff.
Yep, so just a quick overview on these two projects. Both are detailed development plans that are ready to be approved. Midtown at Westfield Southeast, this is a proposed mixed-use multifamily with a small retail component across the street from IMI. This is ready for approval. This went through the plat committee a while back as well, so this is just a continuation of that process. Also, North Point Commerce Park Lot 1. This is a enclosed industrial building up at the North Point Commerce Park, so that is ready for approval as well tonight. So with that, that's all we have for the quick overview. Thank you.
Any questions? Otherwise, would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Moved by Mr. Bunkevich. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Woodard. Any further discussion? Staff, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Bunkevich?
Yes.
Mr. Horke?
Yes.
Mr. Khan?
Yes.
Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
And Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next portion of our agenda are the items of business. We have 3 of those, starting with the Plan Commission Order 25-06, Grand Junction Economic Development Area. Good evening. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Rachel Baker with Economic Development. Yep, perfect, thank you. Tonight before you is a resolution approving the amendments to the declaratory resolution and economic development plan for the Grand Junction Economic Development Area. So this resolution accomplishes 2 things. First is creating the Jersey Street allocation area as shown on the map here. It's a single site allocation area to collect tax increment from development within the area. And as you can see, it's coterminous with the boundaries of the Jersey 32 project. But I wanted to note that the approval of the allocation area is not contingent on the approval of the project. So the allocation area can still be created because we would anticipate development in this area of downtown. The other thing that this resolution accomplishes is we'll remove a parcel in the economic development area where Fire Station 84 is located so that it can be replatted as a single parcel with another parcel that is not within the allocation area or within the economic development area. So kind of just a cleanup item. And I think there's a closer view of this on the next page. Awesome, thank you. So removing that parcel in red from the economic development area. So tonight, this resolution is eligible for approval. The declaratory was passed at the June RDC meeting, and then this is the second step in the approval process. Next, it'll go to City Council for approval, and then come back to the Redevelopment Commission at the August meeting for the confirmatory resolution approval and a public hearing. So that being said, I'm happy to take any questions on this item.
Thank you very much. Fellow commissioners, questions, comments? Seeing and hearing none, I would entertain a motion on the matter.
Motion to approve Plan Commission Order 2506.
Motion by Councilor McCarty. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Carlson. She got you. Any further discussion? Staff, would you please?
And when did Ms. Carlson show up? At what
She
time?
was here
Oh, you
at
were?
the beginning. We had all 9 here at the same time.
I apologize. I didn't hear you.
For the record, everyone was here 5 minutes early.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
No problem. We have a motion and
Out
a
of my line
second.
of sight here.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Staff, would you please call the roll?
Yep. Mr. Horke?
Yes.
Mr. Khan?
Yes.
Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Ms. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard? And Mr. Bunkevich?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much, and I'll remind my fellow commissioners there will be a document for you to sign at the end, so please do not rush off. Next item on the items of business is 2506-PUD-13, the Trailside Business Center PUD. Turn this over to Zyke Weston.
Yep, we'll go ahead and get a few exhibits pulled up here.
Very good.
So, yeah, thank you, President, members of the Commission. For the record, Weston Rogers with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is the proposed Trailside Business Center Planned Unit Development District. The real estate is just over 26 acres in size. It's generally located at 947 West State Road 32. This proposal would permit the development of a business park on the property. The ordinance would require the site to be developed in substantial compliance with the concept plan that's shown on the screen here. The ordinance would also require the site to be developed in substantial compliance with the architectural elevations that are shown on the monitor there. In addition, a trailhead amenity along the Midland Trace Trail would also be required to be developed as part of this proposal. This item is eligible for a recommendation this evening. The petitioner plans to provide a very brief presentation this evening. Both petitioner and staff are available to answer any questions should there be any from the commission. Also wanted to note that there is a reference document on here. There will be a zoning commitment proposed specifically to City Council to address golf cart parking at the trailhead. So that's more of an FYI for this body, but just wanted to point that out as well. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, and we
Great.
can move on.
Mr. Skelton, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. For the record, my name is Matt Skelton with Church Hidden and Antrim, with offices at 116 North Union Street here in town. With me this evening from I3 Investors is Ryan Hahn, my client. As you may recall, we were here at last month's regular meeting on June 2nd for our hearing. There were really no substantive issues that unresolved, so the Plan Commission had waived this item from appearing at a workshop meeting. I'll just provide a couple of updates since the last meeting. There's really only two. One, we mentioned at the last meeting that we would be incorporating a maximum building height limitation of 35 feet. That has been done. That's before you this evening. And also, we have removed where we referenced golf cart parking previously, and on the concept plan and on our site renderings, we've removed those representations from the PUD materials, and instead they've been incorporated into a commitment that runs to the city that, so if the city does determine that it wants to utilize golf cart vehicles on the Midland Trace Trail, then we are obligating ourselves to provide golf cart parking in that event. And that is included, that's the reference document that Weston mentioned. That really concludes my remarks, and we're happy to respond to any additional questions you may have, and we would appreciate your favorable consideration.
Thank you very much, sir. Questions, comments from commissioners? Councilor McCarty.
No, I'll just thank the petitioner for removing the golf cart parking, because that's kind of just a sticking point for me that factually today it's not permitted. So we can have the commitment come at council, but today it just makes sense to remove that, and we'll see how it goes going forward. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Comments from other members of our council? No? No? All right, seeing and hearing none, what would be the pleasure of the board on this matter?
I move that we approve of recommendation, a positive recommendation, send it to the council.
Motion by Dr. Keene. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Khan. Any further discussion? Staff, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Khan,
Yes.
Dr. Keene,
Yes.
Ms. Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty,
Yes.
Mr. Mooney,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Woodard,
Yes.
Mr. Bungavis,
Yes.
and Mr. Horke.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving to the last item on our items of business section, 2506-PUD-12, the Jersey 32 PUD. I believe we have Lauren Gilliam Teague with us to get us started. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the commission. Okay. Pulling up the concept plan here. For the record, Lauren Gillingham T. with the Community Development Department. The item before you tonight is the recommendation vote for the Jersey 32 PUD ordinance. This is generally located at the southeast corner of 32 and Poplar Street, just north of Jersey Street, with Mill to the east. This is a mixed-use development and will include a mix of multifamily, retail, office, as well as art and retail plazas, both public and private, and over 500 parking spaces within this kind of structured, wrapped parking garage here. In the time since this item was last before you for the public hearing, some changes have been made. See if I can zoom in here, more or less. So, right here, south of the Shuck property, this was previously previously a sidewalk that kind of wound behind this property. That property owner at the public hearing mentioned that she didn't really like the sound of that, understandably. So that sidewalk has been removed and replaced with some arborvitae, provides some shrubbery against that facade and her home. Daycare and childcare use, which was previously prohibited just as a matter of course for these downtown developments, is now permitted use. And the minimum parking space size was reduced in order to permit compact vehicle parking and golf cart parking if it is permitted within this larger area. And these changes are all enumerated in the red line provided to you guys. Brian Simons with Skinder Construction is here to answer any questions, but he's not planning on making a presentation. Happy to answer any questions if you have them. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much. Fellow commissioners, comments, questions, concerns?
I just have
Dr. King.
a question. One of the items that was brought up previously was some sort of architectural tie to the historical aspects of Westfield, and I'm just wondering what, I like the building visuals and everything. I'm just wondering has anything been tied in to that historical perspective?
I'm going to pass that one over to the applicant.
For the record, Brian Simons with Skinder Construction. Currently, the historic art, the plaza itself is, we've had discussions with both parks and the city relative to the historic art plaza, having a placeholder for that. Relative to the facade, we've gotten back with our architect. We are in the planning stages of looking at that south facade to help kind of, if you recall in our meeting, having that more of the walkable connection between kind of along Jersey Street, and that's what we're reviewing right now.
Thank you.
Further comments and questions from commissioners? Mr. Bunkefist.
At the risk of sounding brash, I'm just reiterating my support. I liked it from the first revision. Obviously, the changes that were made were conducive to the surroundings, but incredibly supportive of this project and very excited, hopefully, to see it move forward.
Any other members before we move on this item? Seeing and hearing none, what would be the pleasure of the commission?
I make a motion to recommend 2506 PUD 12.
Motion by Mr. Bunkefist, seconded by Mr. Woodard. Any further discussion? Staff, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Ms. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard? Yes. Mr. Bunkefist?
Yes.
Mr. Horke?
Yes.
And Mr. Khan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Moving to our public hearing items portion of the agenda. As I said, we're going to move the police headquarters 2507-PUD-15 to the top of that list, which is the Wheeler Landing PUD Amendment 10 for the police headquarters. And Mr. Collingwood, I believe the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, President. APC members, good evening. For the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item before you is a proposed amendment to the Wheeler Landing Plan Unit Development District, in which was originally established back in 2018 as Ordinance 18-04. The subject parcel is approximately 11.7 acres in size and is located generally on the west side of Grand Park Boulevard and about 1,000 feet north of the 181st Street and Grand Park Boulevard intersection, seen on the location map on the screen. The amendment proposal is to incorporate new development architectural elevations and monument sign character exhibits into the Planning and Development District, specific to just this area in which will be utilized for the new City of Westfield's Police Department headquarters. The item had its first reading in front of the City Council on June 23rd last month. The item is slated for a public hearing in front of the APC this evening. The item has been properly noticed and advertised, and staff has received no comments related to the petition. In addition to that, if the Plan Commission is satisfied with the status of the request, staff recommends waiving the workshop requirement and providing a recommendation to the City Council tonight. Petitioner's representation is present this evening for public hearing, in which includes Veritas Advisors and Dewberry Architects respectively. A representation will be providing a brief update presentation for us tonight, and we are all collectively available for any subsequent questions. Thank you.
Very good. Good evening. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Jonathan Tallman, Dewberry Architects. All right, so just a brief design intent for the project. The new City of Westfield Police Department headquarters embraces a future-facing and community-based approach to policing and public engagement. Can you just go to the next slide, please? Plan to be efficient, collaborative, technologically infused, and wellness-focused for the police officers. And a facility department embrace the future and required building makes responsible use of resources and supports officer and staff health and readiness. It incorporates a diversity of rich experiential spaces designed to result in positive outcomes. A police department of the future will need a multitude of personnel and approaches to solve evolving societal and technological challenges. And a world-class headquarters aims to attract and promote such talent to those that the city is looking to recruit. There's a couple ideas behind the design of the building that express a civic expression. Bold building with bold geometry and a human scale, scale detailing and materials, warm and natural finishes with clean line execution of coherence, and a traditional use of materials in non-traditional fabrication and form. So this building is a metal panel with limestone facing Grand Park Boulevard. And as you rotate around to the backside of the building, which will be facing west, we have a not hardy board, but something similar to hardy board on the backside. And that is intentional to use the cheaper material on the backside because there is a planned 30,000 square foot addition to this building after it is completed within the next 15, 20 years. That is how fast the projections of the community growth is. So this is a 56,000, almost 60,000 square foot facility with a future plan of an addition of a 30,000 square feet on the west side of the building. Okay, next slide. Incorporated into the design, so the site plan is rotated, so north is on your right-hand side. Main entry is to align with John Dipple. Our understanding is in the future have connect to a future roundabout at that location. Bringing that outreach of the training/community room out to towards that intersection, providing parking for training, not just for Westfield Police Department officers, but be able to host training as well from the surrounding community officers. There's a drive on the south end of the site. That drive is intended for two reasons. One, to get a secure parking area for the staff, but also for the fire department to get to the development on the west side of the site that's currently under construction. That will be the fastest way for the fire department to respond to emergency calls in that subdivision. Next slide. Just a real brief outline of the floor plan. In the lower right-hand corner is that, and the north side of the building is the training wing of the police department. It's also the public area of the police department. As we get, you see the stairs are? I don't have, do you want me to do it? Okay. Here, the stairs, this is the main entry to the building for public. There is going to be one of the signs that we're requesting for the site is a memorial for fallen officers for the city of Westfield. That is part of the submittal as well. As we get further back, there's a records window for anybody that, and service window for anybody that arrives for help into this main public lobby. Patrol area in the middle, and then on the south end is interview rooms, evidence processing, evidence holding, and then the City of Westfield IT department is in this green area right here, okay? Second floor is mainly the Office of the Chief and Investigations, and then analyst, future position for analysts for the City of Westfield. A little bit on the elevations. The main public view from Grand Park Boulevard is here. You can see that the building is actually elevated from the road. That's on purpose to help prevent people from driving into the building. We actually have to think about these things in this day and age. The memorial serves as that guidepost, that center of the building. And then for anybody looking to come to City IT, their main entrance is out here on the south end and should be relatively and easily identified. South elevation, again, a fiber cement board for the majority of the backside. But again, that is planned for a 30,000 square foot future addition. And then over here, we see the garage doors. That's for vehicles, evidence processing vehicles. That is brick. And then this is the north side. Public can actually walk onto that lawn on the north side of the building. It is not secure. The security starts back here. So all of this is currently open as lawn. And then as an example, we don't actually know what the sculpture is going to look like yet for the fallen officers, but we have an example of what this could possibly look like. We are looking to, or the city is looking to issue an RFP for that sculpture in the near future. And then a rendering of what that entry, a view from Grant Park Boulevard might look like. Again, main entry doors here, the memorial, and the main elevation of the facility. Thank you.
Very good. Before we open the public hearing, any initial comments or questions from commissioners? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing portion for those that are online, planners at westfield.in.gov if you'd like your voice to be heard. Otherwise, those in the room, if you're here to speak on this matter, there's a clipboard up here on this shorter dais. Please sign in, then state your name and address for the record. The public hearing is open at 7:26 p.m. Any takers? Good evening. There's a clipboard right there. You can get it at the end.
I've already
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, good evening and welcome.
Thank you. My name is Mark Jennings. I live at 145 199th Street. We wanted to speak about the 199th Street proposal.
So, sir, if I may stop you, we're currently on the police headquarters. We'll open a public hearing for that. So I'll have you come back at the next one. That's okay. That's quite all right. I'll have you come back. You'll definitely get your turn. Anyone here, particularly to the police headquarters? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the, is there any online comment before I close that public hearing? I'm seeing a no head shake from Mr. Collingwood.
Yeah, we have no emails.
Okay. I will close the public hearing on that matter at 7:27 p.m. Since there were no items for you to address, is there any further before I get commissioners involved? Sounds like no. Commissioners, questions, comments? Mr. McCarty.
Just a brief comment. This is my first time seeing the updated renderings, and this is wonderful, beautiful. So great job with this. Congrats, Chief. This is a long time coming. I'm with PD a lot because of all the ride-alongs I do, and I'll be excited to be going into the new building many a times. So this is awesome for our community. Thank you.
Further comments? Mrs. Carlson.
I ditto what Vic just said. I think it's fantastic that we're supporting our officers in this manner. Ideal.
Mr. Bunkefist.
Going to reiterate, I looked at Victor and said, that's gorgeous. And Chief, I joked during our pre-call, you have to call Kevin Todd at least twice a week asking when it's going to be done. It's an incredible building, so thank you.
Comments on this end?
Of all the years I've sat here, I think that is the prettiest, the neatest building I've ever seen come across our table. So that, and well deserved. We're pretty fortunate to have the people we have here. So thank you for your work on this, and this is awesome. And whatever we need to do to get this moving, please let me know.
I think it shows the strength of Westfield that, we are really ready to command a higher level of city with a greater level of force, and I could not be more excited about it. So thank you guys for what you do every day.
Further comments? Before we move on, I'll echo that as well. I appreciate the vision of the police department and the mayor's office and everyone coming together on this. We really are poised for a great future with headquarters like this, as well as already planning additions that are needed and necessary, and creating a building that can handle that, and the flow can be good, and it's not something that's hodgepodge. So thank you very much for all everyone has done on this, and we're excited for this. With that, the request or the concurrence by staff would be that we waive the workshop and send a recommendation this evening. So the first item that I would entertain would be a suspension of the rules to waive the workshop.
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
Moved by Mr. Khan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Keene. Any further discussion on suspension of the rules? Staff, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard?
Yes.
Mr. Bungaphus?
Yes.
Mr. Horke?
Yes.
Mr. Khan?
Yes.
And Dr. Keen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Workshop is waived. Is there a motion on a recommendation to City Council?
Real quickly, just lastly, I'll say that because we're in this building, it's been a long time, 30-plus years since we last had police headquarters right downstairs in the basement. So for many people in the audience that might be new to Westfield, we've come a long way in the 30 years, so this is really awesome. But I'll make a motion to send a favorable recommendation for the police HQ.
Second.
Whoa, all right, so I got a motion by Mr. McCarty, I've got a second by Mr. Khan.
Second.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Any further discussion? Staff, would you please call the roll?
Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard? Mr. Bungaphus? Mr. Horke?
Yes.
Mr. Khan?
Yes.
Dr. Keen?
Yes.
And Ms. Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, motion is agreed to. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Next item on our agenda is the second public hearing item, 2507-PUD-14, the 199th and Monon PUD. And who is Weston? Okay, and Weston Rogers will be giving us the staff report on that.
Yep, Dane Crabtree couldn't make it this evening, so I'll be just introducing this item. So good evening, Commission. For the record, Weston Rogers with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is the public hearing for the proposed 199th and Monon Planned Unit Development District, which would permit up to 125 single-family detached dwellings on approximately 39 acres on the north side of 199th Street, immediately west of the Monon Trail. The property is currently zoned AGSF1, agriculture single-family rule today, and is surrounded on all sides by development within the Chatham Hills PUD, with the exception of approximately 10 acres on the south of 199th Street, southwest of the property. On the current city's comprehensive plan land use map, the property is located within the new suburban classification. The property, this project proposes 3 detached lot types, 2 more traditional suburban lot sizes / styles, and a cluster courtyard style, which would be unique within Westfield at this time. The petitioner held a neighborhood meeting on June 25th, for which a summary of the questions asked has been provided as an Exhibit 9 within this agenda. In addition, as a majority of the questions at the meeting were centered around 199th Street, its condition and surrounding area, the city engineer, Michael Pierce, has provided a letter detailing the future improvements in this area that is provided on this agenda as Exhibit 10. Tonight, this item is scheduled for a public hearing, and this item has been properly noticed and advertised. We have received public comments. Those have been uploaded to the agenda as well and forwarded to the Plan Commission. Jake Dietrich of Onyx and East, as well as John Dabashewitz of Nelson and Frankenberger, are present this evening to make a presentation on the item. Thank you.
Very good. All right, petitioners, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Commission. Jake Dietrich with Onyx and East, office at 460 Virginia Avenue, Indianapolis. Here to make a brief presentation to you all, similar to the one shared with Council a few weeks ago. So Onyx and East, you can go to the next slide, is a builder, a developer based here in Indianapolis. We've done a number of projects throughout Hamilton County. This will be our first one, but we've been rated one of the top builders in the city for the past 5 years. If you go to the next slide, as mentioned, the property here is surrounded by development. So I won't belabor that any further. We'll go to the next slide here. Some of the priorities that we heard in meeting with staff and some key stakeholders early on are listed on the screen here. I just want to reiterate what those priorities were. For one, the Monon Trail frontage is what was really what drew us to the property, in addition to some of the great homes and communities that are surrounding us. We wanted to provide a creative solution that would address that frontage. We did want to be sensitive to those adjacent neighborhoods, while also maximizing the opportunity that the site presents. and really create a design for the project that is different and unique, that sets it apart and takes advantage of this location. So as Weston mentioned, this parcel is between 39 to 40 acres. We've provided over 20% open space, and we're requesting rezoning approval for PUD that would allow up to 125 homes. As shown on the site plan today, there's 114 lots on the plan. That additional density would allow for some manipulation of the plan as we continue to work through public comment and potentially tweaking the quantities of lots that we're providing. So we'll just provide some quick highlights for you of some of the key elements of the plan, the first being the cluster courtyards. So this is, as Weston mentioned, a unique design to Westfield, and we think really central Indiana as a whole, where we're taking the traditional alley concept and the cul-de-sac concept and kind of combining them to create this unique sense of place where homes will have this shared plaza drive area on their front and the rear, which would also kind of also serve as a duplicative front of this more kind of common courtyard, which would allow for a traditional home style, with a garage out front, but without it being a traditional alley structure, which has, a much more narrow lot structure. We think this is going to create a unique opportunity for folks looking for that lower kind of home upkeep, more condominium style living. That's again kind of unique to Westfield. The main green space at the center, right near the entry, which is across from the Aberdeen entrance, will be where our primary village green space will be. Within that, we'll have some more passive amenities included in there. We're also attempting to save some of the existing trees that are at where the existing farmstead is today. This is just a blow up of an example of that passive amenity space, which would provide more kind of a natural playground for kids and additional seating spaces. The opposite end of the green space would have additional seating spaces as well. Further pocket park further up into the community, and then we'll also provide for the public's use a bike fix-it station down right at the 199th and Monon intersection. Walking paths both along 199th and throughout the development, and at least one Monon Trail connection. We've provided some renderings of the product, this one being a view from the Monon as if the trees were not there. To be clear, we are saving the existing trees that are border the Monon Trail. This is a view into that cluster courtyard, which shows that kind of high sense of design that we're utilizing for the product, homes being a four-sided architecture, particularly on these particular lots, which provides a visual amenity for folks using the trail. And then this would be a view of that same cluster courtyard, except this would be into the vehicular area, which shows you that kind of really kind of monumental sense of arrival into that space, which we think really will slow down the car movement and really kind of emphasize the pedestrian. And then this would be a view across the green space to the more traditional lots that make up the majority of the project. And then you can just flip through these elevations. These are examples that we're developing specific for this project, which would include a mixture of masonry and fiber cement board. The masonry that we're providing would include a minimum of a wainscot wrap around all four sides. So with that, we're here to answer any questions, which we can do now or after public comment. And we also understand what will be on the workshop agenda for August 18th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any initial comments or questions from commissioners before we open the public hearing? Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead and open the public hearing. But before I do that, again, those online who wish to make a comment, planners@westfield.in.gov. You can get that in at any point during this hearing for your voice to be heard. Otherwise, for those of you that are in the room, there is a clipboard right there next to Mr. Rogers. You can go and sign up there, and then you'll have 3 minutes to speak. If you're here for an entire group, you'll have 5 minutes to speak. But you can come and do that now. You can line up along this wall here, and if you'd like to speak. Otherwise, we'll start this public hearing and open it at 7:39 p.m. Okay. You have? Then please, absolutely. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you for hearing me.
But before you begin, if I can get your name and address for the record.
My name is Susan Kern. I live at 148 Oakhurst Way. I represent the homeowners on the Oakhurst Way cul-de-sac and on Elmhurst. I've lost the last of it, which is the pond behind us. There was also a petition that was circulating. It started with 25 signatures, and I was very instrumental in getting it up to 221 signatures. So there's been a lot of different ways that we've been communicating and discussing this. Not everybody could make it tonight, so I represent them. This is very pretty. The problems, however, outweigh that. My best friend since we were 7 years old, we're now both 68. She lived in an Onyx and East community, downtown Indianapolis. And I'm sure if you've done your due diligence, you'll have found the class action lawsuit against Onyx and East for the quality of the build and the continual problems going over years with no response, which led to the eventual class action lawsuit. As far as Westfield is concerned, we live on the pond. Our pond shares a tree line with this proposed community. So we're right there. I would like to respectfully ask how many of you have driven along 199th Street in the last few weeks?
This won't be a back and forth conversation.
Okay.
This is your moment.
Okay. If you haven't, you might do that. Two vehicles cannot get down 199th Street going different directions. Can't happen. The road is crumbling. You take your life into your own hands when you're driving on it. The curves and the holes. Horton is not much better. There is trash up and down Horton Road on both sides, 191st Street and 199th Street. There's trash constantly, 24/7 in our pond. A big percentage is building materials from all the communities that you've approved around us. They don't clean up their trash. It's like we're down in Pike Township. We saved all our lives, worked all our lives to buy and build what we thought was our dream home. And we're miserable. And our neighbors feel the same way. The trash is beyond imagine. The roads are crumbling. And you're talking about putting another community up there with a large number of people in teeny little lots with children that have, if you have driven up there and you've driven around, you will understand what I'm talking about. The congestion, you can't get anywhere now. You literally, there's nowhere to go. You have no way to get out of that area and down into Westfield without sitting in traffic for maybe 15, 20 minutes at a stop sign. And I'm not exaggerating. The home values. This community is not in keeping with what we bought into in Chatham Hills. And we have a very modest home there. But it's going to lower our property values just simply from the standpoint of the size and the quality of the home. It might be pretty on the outside, but it is not going to be commensurate with the other
30 seconds
homes.
left.
Power outages. A day doesn't go by, a week doesn't go by without a power outage. Now, if you add anybody else, I don't know, you can't handle it now. I don't know how you're going to handle another community. And it's not that we don't want them to be able to build their community. It's the particular area that they want to build it in.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Oh, I'm
Please.
sorry. It's not ready for it.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. Appreciate your time. Next member of our audience, you've signed up. Again, your name and address for the record, and I believe are you here for a group or for yourself? Just to make sure.
Myself.
Okay, so you'll have 3 minutes once you give us that information.
Mark
Good evening.
Jennings, I live at 145 East 199th Street. Apologies for interrupting earlier there, but we have a couple of objections to this proposal. And the first has to do with the density of the houses in it. If you were to compare Chatham Brook, Section 6B, it has 68 houses on 153 acres. This proposal is going to put 115 units on 40 acres. And that's like a 550% increase. It's too dense. It's just too dense. That's really an urban density, not a suburban density. And I'm sure a lot of neighboring neighborhoods would probably not appreciate so many people moving in there. The second point I want to make is that these houses on 199th Street, and I don't necessarily want to echo what the previous speaker said, is going to put about 230 cars on 199th Street on a daily basis. And she's right. 199th Street is a mess. You're not going to be able to bring the heavy equipment in to build this thing without running it through Aberdeen or through Chatham. And it's in terrible shape. There's an exit on the west side of the development, which is going to exit too close to the S-curve on the west side of 199th Street. There's already cars and motorcycles go through the S-curve, sports cars, it's fun, they drive fast, they drive too fast. At the same time, all of these newcomers have brought in their kids, there's pedestrians, and there's no plan to repair the street or to coordinate any sort of a sidewalk for pedestrians between the new development, Aberdeen, and Chatham. And it's going to be a mess. It's not safe. In 2021, I came and I spoke to this same board. Henke was here before they got Chatham 6B approved. The Westfield Public Works was in agreement, and so was Hamilton County in agreement, that this development in this S-curve area was going to be to the north of 199th Street. Henke's development and design, which was approved here, allocated room for that S-curve to be softened, for lack of a better term.
30 seconds.
And that was our understanding as homeowners in this area, that that's what's going to happen. I've also talked to the city engineer, Michael Pierce, and he's planning on milling the top of it off, widening it by 18 inches on each side, 1.5 feet on each side, and then throwing 3 inches of asphalt on top of it. And he says it's going to last 10 to 15 years. It's not. It's not going to last that long. It's going to get torn up. And the current proposal to just throw a quick fix on it isn't going to work, and it won't be safe. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Next on deck. Good evening and welcome.
Jeff Kern, I live at 148 Oakhurst Way, and I want to kind of tag team. 3 minutes isn't a lot of time, but we're going to try and communicate this one more time. I started in August of 2000 in new construction. The city that I worked in then was Fishers. Fishers grew so much and so fast that it was a serious problem. Fishers is catching up now, but they still haven't caught up. We had an opportunity to move from Pike Township up to Hamilton County. We looked at Carmel. One of the reasons we chose Westfield is we didn't want to live in Carmel. We didn't want it to take us 15 or 20 minutes to get out of our house to where we want to go. So we moved to Westfield in 2001. So we've lived here more than 20 years, 24 years. Westfield is an amazing city. We love Westfield. We love living where we live in Chatham Hills. But the gentleman, we live in Chatham Brook, and the gentleman is right. And when we looked in Chatham Brook, we thought, you know, I cannot believe we're paying this kind of money for this small home site. But we know the people in that community. There is a community feel. Now, when you're looking at taking a section that's probably, what, a fourth the size of Chatham 6A, Chatham Brook 6A, and putting 125 houses in there, I'm sorry. This needs to be rejected. This is nothing against Onyx and East. My wife isn't a big fan. She has friends that, but this has nothing to do with Onyx and East. I don't care who's building them. I don't care if Noah, who built the ark, is doing this development. This is a bad idea to put that much density in that small an area on a crumbling road. Once again, head on up there. We'll buy you a hamburger at Chat's. Come up and see the Live event. But when you're up there, drive across 199th Street. And if you feel safe driving across 199th Street, maybe you'll approve this. But I will tell you right now, as it is right now, it's not safe to drive on 199th Street. If I had children, I would bootstrap them before I let them ride a bike down 199th Street or Horton Road. It is incredible what's happened in Osborne Trails. The amount of houses, the amount of density that has come into this area in the last 5 years is staggering, absolutely staggering. The last thing I'll say, the infrastructure isn't there. We are having blackout. We bought a generator so that our lights will stay on. Our lights went out for 5 hours. Electricity on our cul-de-sac, the cul-de-sac was dark for 5 hours. We're getting disruptions every other day. I spoke to someone at Duke.
Sir, your time is up.
And they said they are planning rolling blackouts. To put more
Sir, your time is
strain
up.
on this
Thank you.
electric
Your time is up,
is
sir.
a problem.
Thank you, sir, for your comments.
You know, 3 minutes
sir.
is, I will say this, 3
No,
minutes
sir.
isn't enough.
Please come back to order.
It's not enough.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. They're greatly appreciated. Other members of the public that would like to come speak, hello, good evening. Remember, if you have not signed on the clipboard, if you'd please do so.
I did.
Oh, you did already. Very good.
Hi, Linda Merritt. I live at 1031 East 199th Street. Really, I'm just going to reiterate everything everyone else has said, but it's just, if you haven't driven down 199th, you absolutely must. The road is way too narrow. We have 2 sharp S curves. I bought my house in 2012. Everything was farmland, around at the time. Now I've gone through Chatham Hills, Chatham this, Chatham. And I mean, I don't even feel safe putting my trash out. I feel like I'm putting my life in my own hands. I'm so, looking left and right before I put my trash in the can. But, again, nothing against this community. It looks lovely, but the proposed place is not the place for it. That's adding entirely too many homes and entirely too many cars. I mean, we even have a business on our street, Wesley's Landscaped. I love Wes personally. Nothing against Wes if he's here. Lovely man. But, just their traffic with their trucks is unreal. And it's to add that many homes and that many cars per day it's ludicrous. I'm sorry. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for your comments. Any other members of the public in the room that wish to speak on this matter? While you may be contemplating that, staff, are there any online comments?
No emails.
Last call for public comment on this matter. Oh. You're still welcome to speak if you do wish. Yeah, if you sent an email last week, we have that in our docket. This is just for folks that are online who may want to send an email during the hearing that I'm talking about. But you're still welcome to speak, absolutely. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Barbara Jennings. I'm at 145 East 199th Street, and I live just on one of the S-curves, directly beside the 10 acres or 7 acres that's across and one of the proposed entrances. And so I'm right there. We've been there since 2015. So again, we saw all of the Chatham go up and dealt with that. But I'll read you my email. I'm writing to express my strong opposition to the proposed rezoning of approximately 39 acres of agricultural land on 199th Street to the planned unit development, allowing for construction of 115 homes. This section of 199th Street is a narrow rural road, not to beat a dead horse, with 2 sharp S-curves and gravel shoulders. In the 10-plus years that I have lived here, the road has been consistently filled with potholes, eroding edges, and stagnant water. It was built to accommodate low-volume traffic from fewer than 15 existing homes and a single business. Today, when 2 vehicles approach from opposite directions, drivers must often slow down significantly and pull onto the shoulder to pass safely. The current infrastructure is not designed to support any significant increase in traffic volume. According to the Institute of Transportation Engineers, a single-family home generates approximately 9.5 vehicle trips per day. For a development of 115 homes, this translates to 1,093 vehicle trips per day. This is a dramatic and unsafe increase in traffic for a road that currently serves a very small number of daily users. The design of 199th Street with its curves, narrow width, and lack of proper shoulders or sidewalks makes it wholly inadequate to absorb such traffic safety. Additionally, it is worth noting that nearby new subdivisions have been developed with significantly lower housing density and are mostly accessed by more appropriate, higher capacity roads. This proposed PUD would be completely out of character with the surrounding development patterns and would overload a rural roadway never intended for high-density use. This is not just a planning concern, it is a public safety issue. Emergency access, school transportation, pedestrian safety, and overall quality of life for existing residents would be all adversely affected. I
30
respectfully
seconds.
urge the Planning Commission to reject this rezoning request and protect the integrity and safety of this rural corridor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Any other members of the public wish to address the commission on this before we close the public hearing? Last call. Seeing and hearing none, I will close this public hearing at 7:57 p.m. I would invite the petitioner to make any comments or address the questions and comments that you've heard from the public. Mr. Domashewicz, welcome and good evening.
Thank you, and I apologize for my tardiness. We had another hearing in another jurisdiction that we thought would end soon enough. Staff, could you pull up the exhibit? I think it may be Exhibit 10, and it may help alleviate some of the concerns that I think we, or staff through Michael Pierce effectively addressed at our neighborhood meeting that we had. I know this is available to the Planning Commission. It's available to the public as well as a link to the website. And it's Michael Pierce is the signatory to this. Michael Pierce, for the benefit of the public, is with the Public Works Department. And it reads, if everyone can't see that from their seat, City of Westfield Public Works Department is aware that several residents have expressed concerns regarding the proposed Onyx and East development on 199th Street, particularly in relation to current conditions of the roadway. The city has been actively coordinating with Hamilton County Highway Department, and the reason for that is that there's gaps where areas are annexed and not annexed into the city, so the city doesn't have full jurisdiction over that segment of roadway between Tomlinson and Horton Road. To continue, Hamilton County Highway Department over the past several months to develop a plan to rehabilitate and improve 199th Street. As the county still retains ownership of a portion of the road, they have agreed to share in the cost of planned improvements. The following discussions with our contractor, the city will be proceeding with the following repairs of 199th Street within the next 4 to 5 weeks, and I think their intent regarding that is to have those in place before the LIV event that's taking place. I'm not speaking on behalf of the city, but I think that's the intent. That's importing my personal thought about it. Patching and patching of deteriorating pavement sections. Michael Pierce had indicated at our neighborhood meeting that areas where there's significant disturbance, they'll cut, they'll mill it all out, install additional stone, and then overlay milling to restore the proper roadway crown and cross slope, replacement of a 3-inch hot mix asphalt and structural overlay. What it doesn't list on top of that is that they'll come back through after that and they'll stripe it so that there's a, as Michael indicated to us at our neighborhood meeting, so there's going to be a modest amount of pavement widening. They're going to correct some drainage conditions that exist on both sides of the roadway, and then they're going to resurface to a 3-inch depth. And Michael indicated that that's probably a solution that is going to address current needs through perhaps 10 to 12 years into the future before they would look at that again for additional improvements. And then on as add needed or available basis, they might also address in the future some of the curves, the 2 curves that exist in the road, the 90-degree curves that are south of the adjacent development in Chatham, as well as north of Aberdeen, which is the Lennar development to the south, which is owned as part of Chatham. The other item, while I wasn't here for the public comments, I asked Jim if one of the items was addressed by the public, and that was a petition, change.org. I don't know if the council members, or rather, sorry, the commission members are aware of that. I want to add some content to that to inform the discussion. The petition that's on change.org doesn't provide the public any information regarding the request. Our mailing was between 17 and 24 pages that we sent out to 130 surrounding owners. So that petition doesn't include a link to any of the available information. It doesn't ask. It makes 5 statements about the road condition being bad, et cetera. I apologize, I don't have it in front of me, and asks the participant in the survey to sign the petition relative to that. I think it was indicated that there's 200 plus or minus signatures. That's one relevant item regarding it. The other is it actually provides, if you go onto that link and you look at it, it says here's the number of signatures to that petition that are outside of a 46074 or 06033. So they picked a Carmel zip and a Westfield zip. And at the time I looked at it, which was about a week ago, it indicated 66%. So 2 out of every 3 signatures were within those 2 zip codes. I don't know if the petition asked the person to provide their zip code or they did that by some other method, Big Brother-ish, where somebody signed in to the petition. But I just thought that was curious that a third of the people who weighed in on the request based upon the information that was provided by the survey or petition creator that didn't have any available information regarding the request lived outside of Westfield entirely, and if not, that 133 zip in Carmel. So those were the 2 items that I wanted to address. I know that Jake has a couple others based on specific comments, but wanted to provide that extra information to the Planning Commission.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll be brief and then welcome any questions or comments that you all have of me. Regarding density, you all know better than I do what densities have been approved in the nearby area, but I'll just point out briefly Chatham Village to the east, which has similar size lots, Harvest Trails to the south, which has even smaller lots than the majority ones that we're providing. So certainly doesn't seem out of context for the plan that we've provided. And then regarding property values, I don't think that's really a zoning matter, but just to reiterate what we said to the city council was that the planned property values for what we are building are between $500,000 to $1 million, depending on the segment that we're building. It's hard for me to understand how that would negatively impact property values of surrounding property owners. I would welcome any comments you all have.
Thank you very much. No, ma'am. No, you had your chance to address, that's kind of the process. You had the opportunity to do so. But what you can do is, after tonight, you're welcome to continue to send emails asking questions and providing feedback that we'll get through this entire process. And we will read them. Absolutely. I read every single one, and I know all of my fellow commissioners do as well. So thank you for that. Commissioners, Mrs. Carlson, do I see you pressing your button down there?
Well, I just want to address the density issue. Just from looking at this map, I'm familiar with the area. I've not been on 199th Street, but I will be heading there this afternoon when we're finished here. Is it necessary to do the garden homes? Though it just seems like that doesn't really fit with the layout, nor does it fit with the surrounding, the homes that it's backing up to on the other side of the Monon. So if that, I think it's a fine development. I'm just not sure the density is, I think the density is too high. But if you remove the garden homes and put normal, lots there, it would be a more consistent looking neighborhood, in my opinion.
Happy to show you.
No, please.
Okay, so obviously this is designed as different, visually different, feels different than what's across the trail, but it was actually designed very intentionally with what was across the trail, which we think are obviously the folks that are most impacted by this. One of the suggestions early on in meeting with staff and the mayor was, how can we prioritize visual of what is on the Monon? So examples given were of other jurisdictions where homes face the Monon Trail. There are narrow alley-loaded lots, and you have this really kind of urban feel along the Monon. While we love those parts of Hamilton County, don't feel like it's appropriate for this location. So what we did was we turned that lot on its side. So if you go to the concept plan, Weston, if you don't mind, the lots themselves, because we're turning the depth along the Monon, there's actually fewer lots directly adjacent to those homes across the trail in Chatham there, because the depth of our lots are wider than the width of those lots. That was designed very intentionally, so not only do they have fewer homes that they would view out their back, but also because they wouldn't have folks, front yard or front door or back door facing them, so that there's more privacy for those folks. So while I respect your concern about density, I just wanted to address the design of that was incredibly intentional for the folks living across the trail.
Any further questions, Mrs. Carlson? Mr. Buckefist next, please.
On that note of, kind of turning the homes, so I view technically, based off of the updated site plan, that the homes in closest proximity to the Monon, that'll be the side yard, correct?
Correct.
And so if I'm looking at area C of this PUD, you're saying that your minimum side yard setback for area C is 0 feet, with at least 10 feet minimum between each building.
Correct.
So within proximity to the Monon, what do you view your setback being to the Monon, I'll call it right-of-way property line?
To the property line, I would have to double check that. I don't know that off the top of my head. But what we did was we designed that home would sit similarly in position to the Monon Trail, as would the homes across the Monon in Chatham, for that their rear setback would be similar in terms of proximity to the edge of the pavement. One thing to mention is that our property does not actually abut Monon Trail right-of-way for the majority of the property. Hankey still owns a sliver of ground there, which actually increases our separation between our property and the Monon.
So on that note, though, you are making it sounds like you're making the commitment to have a comparable setback to the rear yard setback across the Monon, which I believe to be at least 30 feet, I think, based off of my Chatham review.
Correct.
Follow-up question that we can talk about in workshop. So the developer of Chatham currently owns a sliver of land dividing your property to the Monon Trail. Part of the appeal of the garden homes is the access to the Monon.
Yes.
Have you or will you receive an access easement to access the Monon from your property?
Actively in discussions with Hankey Development Group, and part of those discussions are pending the result of these meetings.
Okay. Final question, if I may.
Please.
It's hard to see on GIS. I live in very close proximity to this and frequent 199th Street. So I know there is considerable tree buffer, not even considerable, but there's tree buffer lines between essentially both your eastern and western property lines. I may have missed it, but is there any commitment for tree preservation of existing trees within those areas?
There is, and the only places where we might interrupt that existing tree buffer would be if we make a Monon Trail connection, and we would obviously limit that to be as narrow as we could, and to make utility connections.
Understood. That is all for now, but I would respectfully request the opportunity to circle back tonight if necessary.
Mr. McCarty.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So first, I want to say in terms of overdevelopment, you're speaking to the choir here, because I'll pull this one on my hat, classic, lived in the Northwest area my whole life. So talking about all of the additional housing, I've seen it, I'm used to it. Did I grow up liking it? Not very much. But that ship has sailed because Chatham Hills, the PUD, the massive PUD, from Monon Corner on the west side of Horton Road all the way to US 31, where the James Apartments and so on and so forth, everything with the Chatham name on it, Chatham Brook, was approved in 2013. And then Aberdeen, where Mr. Bunkerfist lives, that was approved as an amendment in 2019. So essentially, all of the development that has happened around Horton Road, Tomlinson Road, has been outside of this body's control for a long time. That's something that I've had to cope with, learn about since being on Planning Commission since 2020. Now being a counselor, also continuously trying to learn what's going on. But also this particular parcel right here was at one point envisioned to be part of Chatham. It just didn't happen at the time. That's okay. The family wants to sell now, and this is the proposal in front of us. And what I will say, that again, I mentioned being on Planning Commission, now being a counselor, as many meetings I've had with developers, this is the first time I've had a meeting with a developer that has said that they are anti-cookie cutter. And that is something I've heard time and time again from our residents, that we do not want copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. So I just cannot wrap myself around why there would have been a petition started against this particular development when all the other neighbors that have happened, this one in particular is probably one of the best that I have seen since I've been on Planning Commission. I just do not understand the hate towards this particular development out of everything else. Now, I will go down the list of what was mentioned in this petition. Again, Mr. Dobashewitz said it, not real anything factual that was said with this petition. But the first item, incompatibility with existing neighborhood character. I don't know where that's coming from, because these are upwards of $1 million homes. We're having $1 million homes next to $1 million homes. What are we complaining about, okay? Next, overburdened infrastructure on 109th Street. Absolutely, I agree. It's a trash road, okay? I have driven it many a times. But guess what? Because of the last couple of months of driving it and petitioning the county, working with city staff, we have had over $500,000 committed to improving 199th Street. $500,000. I understand things don't happen overnight, but it has taken a long time to get to this point. $500,000. And with development like this when it comes, it's always the argument, the chicken or the egg. Well, whether it's this or another potential project along 199th Street, improvements will come with that as well. That's just what happens.
Ma'am, please.
Next, potential harm to the Monon surrounding green space. I don't see where that is founded either, because this particular development is actually preserving green space. I can not say that for other potential development that we've seen have been approved. It's put us in a very difficult position. But this layout that they have here is something unique to Westfield that we have not yet seen. Whether it's this builder or a different builder, the particular layout and the future amenities for these residents. Lack of community need or demonstrated demand. You could say that for every single neighborhood that has been built in Westfield over the last 30 years. Every single one. The one that's were permitted by the Chatham Hills PUD, the amendments, everything that up and down Horton Road, every single one. Lack of a need. But here we are today. And then again, negative impact on property values and long-term land use planning. I'm sorry to tell you, but going back to the 2007 comprehensive plan, it was envisioned here to be developed. This land use has already been accounted for nearly 20 years. Nearly 20 years. I understand there's a lot of frustrations when it comes to overdevelopment and not building up our roads, so on and so forth. Going back to the point, though, there are 6 changes between county and city along 199th Street, so it makes it a little difficult to make improvements, but it takes time to get there. Appreciate the patience. I'm frustrated with it too, along with the developments, but I just do not understand the angst toward this particular development considering everything else we've had going on in Westfield. Because I'm right there with you on certain developments. I'm right there with you. But overall, this will be improving the area. That's, I know I kind of went on a little tangent there, but I've been doing this for a little bit of time now, and just living in this particular area my whole life. I'm sorry. The ship has
Order,
sailed.
please, Mr., if you would suspend. I want to be as courteous as possible. I know that emotions are running high, and I know this is very important to those of you who are here with us, and I appreciate you being here. What this can't be is a back and forth. You had an opportunity to speak. You will have further opportunity after anything that is said here to continue to send emails and documentation, and I encourage you to do so. But what we can't do is lose decorum because we disagree, and I please respectfully ask that we continue to be respectful through the rest of this process. Mr. McCarty, the floor is yours unless you are finished.
I'm just going to wrap up here. About 125, but it'll be less than that, 115 homes in this infill lot, and that's exactly what this is. This is an infill lot. That is what I would rather see be developed, infill, as opposed to continuously developing our outskirts. And I'll just say that if you think 115 is a lot, there are many other developments much larger than this down the road. And I'll be right there with you, being a little skeptical about it. But infill development, that is just kind of the bread and butter of planning, because it's been accounted for, again, for nearly 20 years. So, again, I'm sorry for going off a tangent. It just gets me riled up of not understanding the angst with this. But thank you.
Mr. Horkay.
I've spent 25 years worth of Monday nights in this building in various meetings. I'm actually pretty wowed by this in a lot of ways. One of the things that caught my eye is these courtyard 5 areas that brought to mind something that we did, and I was blown away when I did a little homework to figure out. It was way back in 2010 that we approved a development called Kalorama Park, which is over on South Street on a very narrow lot that the city doesn't own, but we bought next to it, where the residence and the farm store and the floodplain is near city services. It was envisioned to be a cluster-type community by Jim Anderson, where everybody was going to have higher front porches and steps, and the homes were all going to be such that if you went out for an evening walk, you'd be able to wave and chat with your neighbors from porch to sidewalk. It was that close. Never got developed. I've brought it up a number of times, hoping that maybe something similar would come along. And like I said, I didn't recall until I started doing a little homework for this meeting to realize that it was that long ago that we had approved that. So I'm kind of thrilled to see something like this. Just wanted to weigh in with that slightly historical perspective, that I think this is a great place to have something like this. And to the points that are already made, that compatible with adjacent land uses doesn't necessarily mean identical, identical, identical. You can have different shaped properties, you can have different levels of finish. The way Kalorama Park was presented to us was that they were going to be some of the most expensive homes in Westfield, even though they weren't going to be the largest, because they were going to be incredibly rich with interior appointments and finishes, and that they were going to be marketed to a rather discriminating buyer. Obviously, that area is not like this area here. There was not much around it at all, and there still isn't that much. And the Sanders Glen folks had proposed something else that got approved years ago. Obviously, that hasn't happened either, so I'm not sure when that property will develop. But I just wanted to offer a little historical perspective. I think this is really cool, and that we've had something like this come and not come. But I think this is great. I don't think there's a lot of negatives that I could even hunt to find here. I appreciate the current condition of 199th Street making such that we'd hear these comments. I do actually drive it. I have an offspring that lives in Aberdeen, and I like to drive every road in the community. So he kind of lives near what would be entrance 2, so I go up Horton around 199th and come in to Aberdeen from the north. And a lot of times when I leave, I will go to the east. So I'm intimately familiar with the current looks of that road, and I even commented when we were there over the weekend that I noticed the wider appearance of the road, that several feet of rock had already been added for what Michael Pierce has now described as about to come. And whether or not it's 15 years or something else, we're paying our city engineer to bring us the best advice that they can. If he thinks that this is what the road warrants for this period of time, I'm certainly willing to accept that as what we should be believing from our city engineer. If we're not getting good intel from him, then we need a different city engineer. So until proven otherwise, I think it sounds like 199th Street is going to get what it needs.
Mr. Khan, sorry, he was next, then Dr. Keene.
Thank you. This question, you had addressed the road conditions, and it sounds like we have a plan for that, which is great. And this question is not to hold you accountable. I think it more falls in the purview of the city of Westfield and utility companies. But several of the residents tonight mentioned that they're unhappy with the power and the power outages and the blackouts and things of that sort that have been happening. So I just didn't know if you had any information that would bring any clarity on that as you did with the roads.
I don't personally, I don't know if staff does.
Okay. Well, I guess my comment would be that, as we monitor this development, it's important that the residences around the area have adequate utility of, roads and power and the like. And, I would hope that as we continue to develop that those things are, taken into consideration so that the folks around have a quality of life. I know it's frustrating sometimes to hear about developments coming in, but I do want to also make the point that these, however this development turns out, our job is to help make that a better reality for you guys and hear your points and hopefully take that into the development as it proceeds into workshop and whatnot. So I just wanted, the folks out there to know that we are hearing you on these issues, and, in our capacity to the best of our ability, we'd like to voice them, and we will throughout workshop and others. Thank you.
Dr. Keene.
I've got a couple of comments, but just want to point out, I believe at workshop, observers are permitted to be there. So I just want to make sure that people know that you can observe the workshop. You can't input. That's going to be a discussion between us and whatever changes are made. So please understand, I think that, would that be in 2 weeks or would that be in 6 weeks?
No, I mean, 6 weeks. You're in
6 weeks.
the August meeting of the workshop. So that'll be noticed just before Dr. Keene continues. So those that want to come to that, it'll be a discussion between the developer and us and kind of taking your concerns and further of our concerns. So again, any emails and data you have, the more you provide, the more we'll have at that meeting. Dr. Keene.
With that, I'm kind of one of the people that worries about density. And I think infill projects are the hardest thing for us to deal with because we have residents around that infill project. And I always tell you, I have somewhat of a concern of the density of this development, regardless of the price range, simply because it's so much more dense than some of the surrounding areas. I'd like to go from more dense to less dense as opposed to going from less dense to more dense. So I'm just going to ask that you go and have you and your engineers and your designers look at this, and if there's any way we can reduce the footprint of houses down, it would certainly alleviate that density concern that I have. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that because we have time between now and then for something.
Mr. Woodard.
Yeah, I would say to the people that came and spoke today, I know every one of these people heard you up here today, right? And it means a lot. We get a lot of projects that come through here and no one comes and talks. And to see passionate people are out there that care about this community, we are grateful for you to come and share, that you shared your perspectives. So, and so are the developers. It might not feel like it, but they want good neighbors as well. And they'll work on stuff that you guys bring up for sure. And I really, please come to the public meetings that we have with it, the workshop meeting, and you'll see these are all just great people, right, that care about the community just like you do. And I think that you, like in this public forum, it's a little weird. You saw a lot of stuff get approved and kind of roll through the system, and you probably feel like, oh my gosh, this is just going to happen, right? This project's in a whole nother spot right now. So I would just say be patient, let the process occur, but be active in it, right? And thank you for coming, and we heard you loud and clear.
Mr. Mooney.
I won't repeat or echo a lot of the same thoughts, but a couple things that I think about. So we, as a group, we kind of sat through some of the comp plan workshop and everything. So I think this is an area of focus on this side of town, whether it's less dense or, we talked about creativity. We talked about some interesting concepts around neighborhood nodes and villages and whatnot. So I do think there's some creativity there. I probably align with Dr. Keene a little bit more than some of the others on the comments around density. The two probably areas that pique my interest are, so as someone that's lived here a long time before the Monon ever reached some of these areas of town, I think of trail connectivity is really important, interesting spot. I appreciate, working through that with Mr. Hankey. That's something that I'll be paying attention to, as well as I think that would be the west entrance. I have my glasses on, but I still can't read what it would say, but that's awfully close, and I'm not an engineer by trade, so this is a question out of curiosity, but that is awfully close to one of the road bends. I would be looking for maybe a little bit of context and commentary coming back to workshop, just on thoughts around placement. I know we've talked in here about, there needs to be good ingress, egress for public safety and whatnot. So I understand that probably plays into it, but probably a little bit of education for me and some of my other commissioners as far as that goes. Thank you.
Mr. Bunkefist.
Yeah, follow-up question. And again, if I miss this, I apologize. All of the surrounding neighborhoods have obviously left some portion of right-of-way in proximity to the 199th parallel. Is that contemplated here as well? Is that what that black line is shown? Is that right-of-way?
Correct.
And then your rear yard setback for that first row would be based off of that projected right-of-way?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further comments or questions from commissioners? I'm going to say a couple of things, and then we'll move this on for workshop here next month. I think one thing that I want to look at. I'm always big on really looking at the set of amenities. And I know that these are higher end homes, but I don't know. To me, I think a fire pit cuts it. And I'd like you guys to take a look at more of the amenity space. I know these are bigger homes, so some of these people I don't know if they have enough room for a swimming pool, but they might. I really do love the garden home idea. I love the uniqueness of that, especially as we continue to build Westfield to not be a cookie cutter community. I think that's really great. So I did want to give you a positive on that, and I wouldn't change a thing about that. I love that. I think it's helpful. As someone who rides, the Monon, I have a 2-year-old son, so we go all over the place with him on the Monon Trail, and to see the diversity from Carmel, there are townhomes, you get into Westfield, there's some bigger homes along, and then you see something like this will be a little bit different. I think it really just continues to help build the amenity that is the Monon Trail for all of us, not just for the folks that live here, but for those of us who walk and ride it. I will say to the public regarding the Duke utility, as someone who has lived in utilities in the past, that is certainly on the developer to ensure that they have enough utility wattage and gas and whatever it is. And so I'm sure they've spoken to Duke and CenterPoint and anyone else that's in there at length. And I will trust that the two of them have figured that out. That obviously would irk me if my power kept going out. And I would encourage you to speak to Duke on that. And then, of course, the city has made, I honestly think, while they need to do this, the city has made, I think, a very unique commitment to the infrastructure, even ahead of the continuation of building along this corridor, which is just going to continue to happen, whether some of us, I guess, like it or not. This is going to continue to grow. And so I think the city doing this, obviously we have a big event coming up here soon, which that'll be helpful to. It kind of helps us move that forward. But thinking long-term for this area. And again, I put my trust in the city engineer on that. So those are my general comments. I like the project overall. Obviously, there's some more to do, but especially looking at those amenities, I'd like to take another shot at that. And maybe there's a reason, because they're $1 million homes, we think, well, maybe they don't need a swing set, but we've got a crawl log, whatever that might be, and some other things in there. So I'd like to just, the green space is lovely. It's great to throw frisbees and football, but especially if there are kids coming here, that may not quite be enough. I know you get a built-in amenity, especially if you can get access to the Monon. That's obviously a big selling point, but just take a look at that. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Mr. Bunkenfist.
Yeah, one more, because you bring up the amenities, and I was thinking through that. So again, understanding the density of the home lots, and you mentioned again, we often view these types of developments as somebody who's going to deliver their own amenities if they want the swimming pool, if they want the different things. Based off of just reading a chart that shows me minimum all setbacks, right? I mean, is it even feasible to put rear yard amenities like a pool with, I guess, your minimum lot rear yard is 15, but like in all practicality, what do you think it's going to be, right?
There will be more conditions than not that would be greater than 15 feet.
Okay.
I think that would be a highly unique.
Okay, so specifically
Sorry to cut you off, but on segments or areas A and B.
That's my
Area C is certainly more intimate in design.
Area C, though, the amenity is the Monon, right? But for areas A and B, you're saying it would at least be, there's some level of feasibility to deliver their own level of amenities in their yard.
Yeah.
Cool.
Would you go to the, I just think, I know we'll get to more of this in workshop, but I want to comment on this. Will you go to the rendering from the Monon? So, yeah, exactly. So, one of the things that we're trying to deploy here is what I like to call it an emphasis on quality of place over quantity of space. We see less dense projects come through that do nothing to address the majority of the lot in which somebody buys. What we are aiming to do is different than traditional production home builders, is to offer more structural options for what happens outside of the home than what happens in addition to what happens inside of the home. So you see on this image here, you're seeing more fully built out patios and higher end landscaping. We think that by offering those are some of those amenities that somebody might use every day versus community amenities, which somebody might use once a year. Amenity usage varies, obviously, but we're trying to emphasize and invest in the things that people are going to use every day, and actually adds value to the community as a whole because it's a visual amenity for if somebody's got more flowers in their front yard, it's going to feel better than just if there's a playground across the street. Not saying that playgrounds are wrong, but we're being very thoughtful about where we invest the money for this project. Look forward to having more details on amenities at workshop.
Much appreciated.
Yep.
Oh. Yes, sir, please.
Before we come back to the workshop, and I don't know, maybe you already have something produced on this, but I would like to know what the 199th streetscape, is that 199th streetscape looks like on the rear-facing homes along, if you go back to the just general concept plan. Yeah, just down there at the bottom, what that view looks like. I can't tell, as they're mounding, as I see the trees, right? But and I know you talked about the wainscoting on the back, but what could be expected from architecturally?
We'll provide some exhibits at workshop.
Thank you.
Yep.
Further comments or questions from commissioners? Seeing and hearing none, you are off the hook for the evening. We will see you at the second meeting in August.
Thank you, everybody.
We have no other public hearing items. There is one item that is currently continued to a future meeting. That's 2504-PUD-04, which is the Town Road Crossing PUD. We will see that at a future meeting. Moving to comments and reports. Plan Commission members to each other. Any comments to each other? Seeing and hearing none. City Council Liaison, Councilor McCarty.
Yeah, I'll run through it real quickly. It was a couple weeks ago now, but on June 23rd, new business resolution 25-133. This had to do with another ERA, which was approved. Resolution 25-134, a real property tax abatement for Viken North America that announced their relocation from Zionsville to Westfield. So great win for our community, get another headquarters. Ordinance 2539, which was tonight, 199th and Monon. And, gotta scroll through my update here. the police headquarters, which, again, we saw tonight. And that was it.
Any questions for Councilor McCarty? See-
That was all them.
Further questions for Councilor McCarty? Seeing and hearing none. Board of Zoning Appeals. Dr. Keene.
We meet tomorrow night.
Okay, we'll wait for the next meeting to get that report. Plat Committee. Mr. Horkay.
We did not meet since our last meeting. I did get a request for confirming availability for a week from today, so maybe there will be a meeting next week.
Excellent.
That's probably still TBD, but
We
I'm
may have-
available if there is a meeting.
We may have two great reports on that one.
Yeah.
Very good.
Maybe, or we'll have Dr. Keene's and mine.
Yes.
One will be great, but
Yes.
it won't be mine.
One will be
probably.
existent, yes. Community Development Department, staff to commission.
Yep, we just passed out that APC
Excellent.
resolution. We are anticipating to have a plat committee meeting on the 14th, I believe. So look forward to that. That's all we have for now. Thank you.
Very good. I do want to note before we adjourn that it's very possible that I will not be at the next meeting, or at least not be in person. My flight from Seattle lands at 5:40, and I have a 2-year-old son that has 47 things that I have to take. I have to wait for bags. So I will let you know a little closer to that, but I just want to note that for Mr. Bunkefist to not make any Disney vacation plans because he'll need to run the meeting. Yes, and the President Emeritus won't be here either, so we may be left. With no other items, a motion to adjourn? I didn't make the motion. I need a motion. So moved by...
Second.
Okay, we got by Mr. Woodard and Mr. Khan, the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at, whatever time it is, 8:36.